Morning guys, morning, well welcome to another video. Today I was gonna do a full service oil change and filter on the Mark 5 GTI, but you might be able to hear the wind. It's absolutely horrible out there, so I pulled the front end of the car in the garage anyway, and I will show you how to just change the rocker cover gasket. Apparently nice easy job, shouldn't take too long, and at least I'm under a bit of shelter here. I guess it's another thing to tick off the list. But yeah, nice easy how-to on how to change the rocker gasket. So for changing the rocker gasket you don't really need very many tools at all. You just need a flathead screwdriver and then just a few Torx bits. I've got a T25, a T20 and a T30, and then you'll also need a pair of pliers because there's a single-use clip at the back of the engine, and make sure you've got a small Jubilee clip to replace that. So here's your shopping list if you want to just take a screenshot to make sure you've got everything ready before you start the job. So now I'll just run through everything you're going to need to remove to get the rocker cover off. You can do this in pretty much any order, but you're going to want to remove the PCV valve. For me, I've got this forged PCV delete. This has got T25 bolts in. I don't know if the standard PCV's got T20s in, so obviously make sure you've got both of those sizes just in case, but you're going to want to remove them and take your PCV unit off. You're then going to want to undo the T20s on the back of the ignition coil rail, undo the clips that hold the ignition coils in, and then get your flathead screwdriver wrapped in a little cloth and just start to prise ignition coils out. Then you're going to want to get your flathead screwdriver and prise off this little pipe at the back. This is the single-use clip, so do make sure you've got a small Jubilee clip to replace this when it comes off. It's a bit of a nightmare, so just wedge it in there, snap off the clip, and then you've got to remove the pipe. Then you're going to remove the T30s that hold the timing belt cover on. Just take those two out and shimmy away the timing belt cover, and then go around and remove the T30s from the rocker cover. There's no particular way to take these out, but they do go back in a particular way. So I'll actually show you on screen now. So just take a screenshot or something. This is the way that the bolts will actually go back in. I'll show you again in a minute, but it's just good to have a reference here as well. And then just get on with it. So T20s or T25s to remove the PCV valve. And then just get up on the ignition coils and just remove the two T20 things at the back. Take off the clips and then begin to prise out your ignition coils. I did find this easier with a little trim removal tool as well as the flathead, and just kind of prise it off from two sides, but you can get away with just using a flathead if that's all you've got. Once your ignition coils are out, use your pliers and your flathead screwdriver, snap off that little metal clip at the back and use the pliers, a trim removal tool or flathead screwdriver, anything you've got, to try and prise this pipe off the back of the rocker cover. Bit of a nightmare, to be honest. It did take a little while to get off, but you'll get there eventually. Then whip off the T30s on the side of the engine that hold the timing cover on, and then go around and just loosen off or remove all of the T30s that actually hold the rocker cover down into the rest of the engine. I had some Torx Allen keys which I used because it was just easier to spin them round, but you don't need these, any T30 will do. These are actually captive, so they won't come all the way out, so just loosen them up as far as they go. At this point, it absolutely started chucking it down in true British fashion. We also realised we hadn't loosened one of the T30s at the back, so that was my mistake. But yeah, we just kind of loosened that off and then released the rocker cover. With the rocker cover removed, you just want to remove all of the residue that I'm pointing to with my finger here, just with a cloth, and make sure this is as clean as possible, because this is where the gasket is going to seal back down when you put the thing back together. Then, in the garage, just remove the old gasket off the rocker cover. Mine was pretty brittle, to be honest. I don't think it had ever been changed, and it was definitely ready for a new one. Once you've snapped off all the brittle bits, you want to again make sure this is as clean as possible so the new gasket sits in the rocker cover nice and secure. Once everything's cleaned up on both the rocker cover and, well, the rocker cover bit on the engine bay, you're ready to put in your new gasket. So when you put them in, don't forget to put these washers through the gasket, because that's what compresses everything down. Then refit is reverser removal. So just once your gasket's in, wiggle it all back into place and make sure it's sat down there nice and secure. Start putting your pipes and your bolts back in. Then, referring to the cylinder head cover tightening specification sheet, just go around and tighten up all of the bolts that you took out before. Now I just started some of these off with a screwdriver, and then they actually want to be torqued up to 10 Newton meters. If you haven't got a torque wrench, I would recommend getting one of these, but 10 Newton meters if you're not going to use a torque wrench is not very much at all. It's just very lightly nipped up. But please don't hold me accountable if you're not going to torque these up with a torque wrench. Next, you're going to want to put the T30s back in the timing belt cover. Again, 10 Newton meters, just the same as the ones you did a minute ago. Getting close to the end now, the next thing is to put your ignition coils back in, get everything tightened up on them, make sure they're all clipped in and not going to come out. You want to be in there nice and secure. And then get your PCV valve or PCV delete with its new gasket. If you've got the new gasket, go ahead and put those to 4 Newton meters. It's up to you if you want to, torque them up, because 4 Newton meters is barely anything at all. It's just very lightly nipped up again. But once they are all in, make sure your pipe's back on at the back of the engine with your new Jubilee clip, and we are finished. So that is it, guys. The car is now back together. All the bolts are screwed in, torqued up to the correct settings. The only thing left to do now is to drop the bonnet down, pull it off the drive, and we're done. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to give us a like or subscribe, or if there's anything you didn't like about the video, feel free to let us know in the comments. Be happy to hear your feedback, and see you in the next one. Cheers.